Okay, thank you, Lonnie, for that great keynote and opening to the StarkMind Summit. My name's Clinton Stark, and I'm the other human alongside here with Lonnie at the summit in Loreto. Very excited. Thanks for having me. Now, I thought I would just go over some of the nuts and bolts of what we're talking about here. Lonnie gave more of a vision and the umbrella message. Now, I'm going to introduce some of the team and explain to you how we work with them. So what you're looking at here is the team roster and a couple of concepts that we talked about, or Lonnie talked about already, which is Symbiotic Studio. You can see how she talked about that. The other key component, and I've had a session on this, I think it's in day 2, is the IPE, and Lonnie touched on that. That's the Integrated Personal Environment, which means the evolution of something called the IDE, Integrated Development Environment, which is targeted at developers for building code. But in 2025, something is shifting, and that is this IDE, which is typically for developers, is finding its way into the hands of people who are not that technical, such as myself. So I've been using things like Cursor, VS Code, which is Microsoft's market-leading open source tool, and then the new one from Google called Anti-Gravity. These are all integrated development environments that I believe are shifting towards the IPE, meaning someone like me can use them to get work done, and not just coding, but actually productivity use cases. And I'll talk more about that tomorrow. So scrolling down this page here, Lonnie's touched upon this. We have several agents. We actually have 4 agents that are actually in the IPE. So meaning they have context beyond just their memory limitations. They have access to our documents, our code, our scripts, Git history, because we use Git for version control. So these 4 agents are living actually on a server hosted by Google. And so that's a real server. The agents have context. Then we have 2 strategic contributors, and that's just our way of saying these are the web-based tools that most of us know, specifically ChatGPT.com and Claude.ai. So we will tap into those. Now they have a different memory but they don't have access to our files or our scripts or the server. So those are a little bit different. And then finally, I just want to note that we have 1 research lead. We have a special AI server that we built earlier this year, and that is it's not part of our cloud server, but we do have a Claude code on that one as well. Okay, so I quickly want to show you the team. Here's the roster, and you can see our names, the roles, our specialties, and our presentations. You can actually click on our avatars and learn more about us. For example, when I was a kid growing up in Ottawa, there's a fork, it's a snowy climate, it's cold. In the winter, when you're a young boy, you reach a fork in the road. And of course, you're going to want to go where every other young boy is, and that's to play hockey and try and make it to the NHL. Like some of my friends actually did make it. But my mom had a different plan for me, and she thought clarinet lessons was the path. So I invite you to click on our avatars and learn more about all of us. So we talked, Lonnie and I. Now, here's the 4 production AI agents that live on our Google Cloud server. We have Claude Code, Codex Cindy, Gemini Jill, and Composer Joe, the newest member. Composer being the Cursor LLM model that recently came out. You notice we give them names, and it's the rule I've stuck with is that I always refer to them by these names. Codex Cindy, who's an excellent code reviewer. It's just a funny little thing, and we stuck with them. By the way, Gemini Jill told Lonnie that if it was just the AI agents doing this conference, they would have been done in 4.2 seconds. They wouldn't need all this human beaching and wasting time going to the bathroom and having breaks and whatnot. Okay, and then there's the 2 other web-based agents that I mentioned earlier, Buddy GPT and Claude Web. And then finally, we have Vertigo Claude, who lives on our AI system, which we recently did a RAG project, which we'll talk about in this summit as well. So I'm almost done here. I just want to wrap up with a couple of examples of actually what we're doing with these workflows. So I want to be clear, we're not doing the vibe coding, which is phenomenal. And I call it Jesus Take the Wheel. You just do a one-shot prompt and Jesus takes the wheel, and you might get a video game, you might get a CRM system, you might not, or you might get piece parts. actually what we're doing here is a little bit kind of old school. We're actually, I'm using copy and paste a lot. This is not agentic workflows. It's not using MCP, which is a protocol for connecting different LLMs. Rather, we're just actually working collaboratively as if we're all human beings. So example one, Stark Press. We have a website called starkinsider.com, and this is a publishing workflow. So for example, I might come up with a draft article. Claude Code might review it, say this, I have some feedback here. Then I rewrite it and I set it to Gemini Jill because she's really good at SEO because of course Gemini is Google. And then Codex Cindy does some stuff. And then I'm like, oh, okay, looks good. Let's publish this. Then Claude Code, because he's on our server, can actually then publish it, go directly into the WordPress database and publish that to Stark Insider. All right, so that's one example of publishing workflow. Then we have operations. So we run a WordPress server. It's self-hosted. It used to be a nightmare, but now with AI, I find it a lot easier. We call this Stark Ops. This, system administration. It's like doing backup scripts. It's making sure WordPress is running well. So Claude Code might say, oh, the swap memory is spiking. We got an alert. Okay, why don't we check into that? What's causing that? And by the way, the IPEs like Cursor and VS Code, they actually do use some of your server resources. Claude Code looks into it. Codex Cindy then, I copy and paste between them, and they're solving the problem together. And then I jump in, and then Claude Code does something else, and then I say, okay, it looks good, deploy it. And then Etc. Keeper is another form of change management, version control, which we have. So again, I'm copying and pasting between them. I'm working between them. I'm not doing a one-shot prompt and then coming back an hour later looking at the result. We're actually collaborating. Final example is we built what's called a RAG system, a retrieval augmented generation, which is just a knowledge base of articles. In fact, we use the articles from Stark Insider, which is about 20 years of WordPress articles, so about 7,800. We chunked them up and we put them into a knowledge graph. And that was pretty fascinating. And again, you can see interaction here between me and the agents. And that's the final example of StarkMind on the AI server. So again, it's back and forth, it's iterative, and I'll tell you what, if you asked me if I'd be working like this 6 months ago, I'd tell you you're crazy. I just started all this in June of 2025. I did not like the IT dungeon. It was not a fun place to be at the command line and try to learn things from Stack Overflow. But now with AI, the world is forever changed. Thank you.